evening, and thank you for joining me. I'm your host, Frit Burgundy, representing the Bong News Network, for our very first edition of Ponies Gone Wild, your weekly recap into the world of just how delusional these console fanboys can be. It happens on such a consistent basis that I literally have to dedicate a weekly show to it now. So if you want to keep up with all the lunacy that is the PlayStation fanboy community, be sure to hit subscribe and sign up for our news weekly. Now, on to more pressing matters. The drug crisis that has quickly swept up America is starting to show its effects outside of just the streets and the president's son. Methamphetamine is also starting to destroy the gaming community within Twitter, as reports came in earlier this year about Dreamcast Guy's abuse of methamphetamine.
So we went back home and my buddy was like, well, I guess I'll just go ahead and smoke all this meth. So we just smoked a bunch of meth.
Jesus Christ.
Unfortunately, it would seem Dreamcast Guy's antics have inspired and influenced several PlayStation fanboys to now start abusing the substance themselves. Joining me now is the woman who failed to stop the FTC, Miss Lina Khan. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Frit. As you can see here, it's been absolute madness on X, formerly known as Twitter. Ever since the Insomniac leaks, not a single PlayStation fanboy has been able to bear the news, which has ended in mostly peaceful protests with only 200 dead and 1,000 injured.
I'd hate to interrupt my colleague. She is such a stunning, brave woman, and women must never be interrupted. The BNN does not tolerate men correcting women, but I do kind of have to correct you on this one, Miss Lina. That is the Kai Cenat PS5 giveaway.
Correct, Frit. Switching broadcasts in 3, 2, 1. As you can see here, Frit, this known as Japan Hates Xbox, posted a meme from 12 years ago insinuating that the world would be a much better place if the Xbox brand died. There is no study yet that proves ponies would stop rioting and abusing drugs and being retarded if that was the case, but that is the sentiment felt within the community as the post managed over 200 likes. Now, as many have suggested, this looks like an attempt to farm engagement, as currently there are no PS5 exclusives to play, yet no one was expecting what would happen next, Frit.
I'd rather smoke meth than play Xbox. Oh wait, I already do smoke meth. Still better than playing on Xbox, though.
And the wise words of an Asian man.
I feel sorry for your mother.
Well, those words weren't so wise because that man was left in a pool of blood pouring from his head. You hate to see it. The youth now under the control of such substance, to the point that it has now made the console wars all that much more toxic. To know that a good chunk of the PlayStation fanboy community arguing with you on X is loaded up on crank has forever changed the discourse online. One has to consider that at least 1 out of 5 ponies is tweeting out such absurdities because of drug abuse. One has to question why. Why openly post a picture of yourself sparking up that Heisenberg blue pack? Does the answers lie within the console of their choice? If so, is Sony now going to have to ship every PS5 with a crack pipe to ensure their users don't go on another rampage through New York City or record themselves operating on a patient for console wars? One thing is for certain, however, and that is PlayStation fanboys' state of mind is starting to make a lot more sense. The mass hallucinations induced by methamphetamine is causing them to think Spider-Man 2 was worthy of being Game of the Year. Now it's starting to make a lot more sense why Kai Cenat nearly trashed his entire room over Spider-Man losing. The man was completely cranked out. This is no laughing matter. YouTube, we do not condone drug abuse. Please do not limit our ads. BNN can barely afford to keep itself operational. We are not making fun of drug addicts here. We are merely observing, and our observations have led us to some conclusions. The PlayStation fanboys prefer Twitter and meth over their video games. That is a fact, sadly. One that cannot be overlooked. One that has continued to lead the PlayStation fanboys to looking worse than every single other console fan base. Soon, it won't be long before Dreamcast Guy is crushing people's heads with an ATM machine to fuel his addiction. Oh, I gotta get high! And in other news, Greg Miller is a hack. I know to many that doesn't count as news, but we're going to put it on the prompt either way, as relevance for this man who looks like he buys feet pics is back. Many are claiming that the Xbox tax was just proven right yet again, less than a couple of days ago, when leaks for Wolverine and all of Insomniac's future plans, which is, as we would call here, on BNN, very progressive, stunning, and brave. It's no coincidence Wolverine has enough claws on his hands to match each and every single color of the rainbow flag. Much like the leaks with Poison Ivy and the new Suicide Squad game, the leaks for Wolverine are not leaving much hope. With Sweet Baby Ink attached to this product, and just about every other Marvel product going forward, many are encouraging hackers to leak out more info so one can prepare to save their money. However, one side of the media has decided to speak out against revealing all of these leaks, instead choosing to try and have the moral high ground. Everyone from Tom Warren to Mighty Keith to Greg Miller.
Everyone, it's me, Greg Miller from Kinda Funny Games, and if you didn't know, Insomniac was held ransom by some cyber hackers, the types, you know what I mean, saying that they wanted $2 million or they'd release a whole bunch of Insomniac files. And they did that. Insomniac did not give them the money. The hackers released the files, and now the internet is in flames as all sorts of information about Wolverine, Insomniac, personal data of the developers, and so much more is floating around. This has led to a giant conversation about how this should be handled in reporting video game news. I wanted to come to you and talk to you about how we'll approach it on Kinda Funny Games Daily today. Today, we will not go into the details of this leak. We will instead talk about the human component. All the developers at Insomniac who just had years and years of work published when it was not ready to be seen, information published when it was not ready to be seen, contracts published when they were not ready to be talked about, and of course, their own personal information shared against their will. This is an invasion of their privacy, done in one of the most malicious ways possible. So today on Games Daily, we will focus on the human element of this. Of course, going forward in the years to come, there will be references to this information because it is out there in the public sphere, but we don't think it's newsworthy today when so many people, actual human beings, are in a lot of pain. So that's how we're going to do it today on Games Daily. So let's start the show. Number one, the continuing saga of Grand Theft Auto 6. If you were under a rock all weekend, maybe offline, maybe you missed it, Grand Theft Auto 6 did in fact leak.
Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League story spoilers. Those have hit the internet following closed test leaks. This is Wesley Yinpol at IGN.
Oh, really now, Greg? So now we're supposed to take into consideration the harm spreading leaks can cause? Or is that your way of saying we're supposed to take it into consideration because it's PlayStation and Insomniac and I'm very close to both because they throw me money to be a paid shill for them? Many question why PlayStation and Insomniac would be so close to someone with such a punchable face, but this is the man they chose to represent them. So he's come out to bat for the billion-dollar corporation when, as I just showed you in those splices, he has had absolutely no problem in the past reporting on any sort of leaks happening, whether involved Capcom or Rockstar games. But when it comes to a PlayStation game, when it comes to Insomniac, now he wants to play hush. Now he doesn't want to report on it. When less than a few weeks ago, he was running his mouth gleefully about Rockstar's leak. If you have any doubt left about the Xbox tax narrative, now would be the time to drop it, as this right here is exactly the very thing that makes debunking the Xbox tax narrative difficult. PlayStation is highly protected in the industry amongst its peers. Look at the influence they have over media. Meanwhile, here at BNN, we are not influenced. We hold integrity. We will report on what's happening. You guarantee I'm going to report to you just how woke Wolverine is and how absurd the story and all the leaks involving it are, as that's my job. Well, not really. This is a hobby. I got this suit at a St. Vincent de Paul. Fortunately for me, justice was served as 2.6 thousand dislikes quickly hit Kinda Funny Games channel under the video titled "Leave Insomniac Alone," the exact place where we got this clip. How Greg Miller is unable to see his own hypocrisy is beyond me, but something tells me it involves meth. Or it could also do with the fact that those leaks reveal a lot about PlayStation's roadmap and the many messed up things they plan on doing in the near future. And that is probably what Greg Miller is trying to damage control. He doesn't want to get into these topics because it makes PlayStation look really bad. And that goes against his narrative. For you see, those leaks involved PlayStation's roadmap and how they plan on charging you even more for games in a few years from now. As it was revealed that Spider-Man 3 is planned to be split into 3 retail releases, full price apiece. And based on the negotiations that were revealed between Insomniac and Disney's Marvel for their next X-Men game, it's starting to make a lot more sense. This is not a sustainable market for PlayStation. They have to re-release the same games in order to make all their money back. More news that Greg Miller doesn't want you to hear about. He doesn't want you to know exactly how unsustainable PlayStation's market is. They must remain looking mighty and strong. And number 1, this isn't defensible. There is a lot of important information here that you would expect a voice like Greg Miller to be speaking out against. But instead, he's openly decided not to report on it due to his own preference, and has instead opted to make yet another unfunny PC gaming skit.
PlayStation 5 is a great place to play video games. Now, of course, there's Xbox and there's Nintendo Switch. These are great places to play video games as well, children. And I don't want to scare you. There are bad people out there. Your parents might be bad people. You turn off this episode of Mr. Greg's Child Time Teachings. You go and talk to mom and dad. You need to ask them if they play video games. If they say yes, you should say, "Oh, can I see where you play?" If they walk you into the basement, where there's a dark corner and a computer monitor, if they walk you over there, they press a button, and it goes, ooh, and it struggles to life.
Just when you thought nothing could top how unfunny an "Oh no, it's Alex" or Angry Joe opening can be, along comes Greg Miller to remind you why you are as violent of a person as you are. This is the face of success. The face of a soy cuck. One who damage controls for billion-dollar corporations, kicks out his friends because they're not progressive enough for him, and has somehow landed himself a gig with the WWE. I'm not kidding you. That is real. Greg Miller somehow has a job with WWE, so you know this man was born to basically just be a corporate shill. For you see, viewers, the rabbit hole goes even deeper. One begins to wonder, why is Greg Miller this defensive? It would cost him less to just report the news than to damage control for it, ruining his brand image and reputation. Well, you see, that's because Greg Miller had received a cameo in both Spider-Man 1 and 2 by Insomniac.
Let's do this one last time. My name's Greg Miller, and I had a dream to review video games. For 17 years, I've been the one and only Buffalo Wing loving man to do it at both IGN and Kinda Funny. I'm pretty sure you know the rest. I reviewed a bunch of video games, won a game award, fell in love, podcasted about PlayStation, and then podcasted about PlayStation again, and again, and again, and again. That was the birth of Shirtless Spider-Man. From there, he became a Twitter sensation. He snuck his way into Marvel Spider-Man on PS4 because Insomniac thought the bit was so funny. Insomniac thought it was so endearing, they put both the Spider Bros in Marvel Spider-Man 2. Once you've unlocked the photo ops from Robbie Robertson, swing over to the Upper East Side. You'll eventually find the Kinda fanboys posing for the camera, just like Bless and I have in the past. So snap pics with us and send them our way on social media.
That's right! This man whose laptop should be investigated by the FBI has been able to somehow land himself some of the most insane gigs while offering the world zero talent, zero creativity, zero entertainment value. Just like Yang Ye's refusal to report the disaster that was Quantum Error because he was handed a voice in the game, Greg Miller is in turn refusing to report any negative coverage towards Insomniac because they also handed him a gig. This level of corruption with influencers getting this much special treatment should honestly be illegal at this point. Bad products are being promoted by what the internet thinks are respectable content creators. They're not. People like Greg Miller and Young would gladly throw their own audience under the bus because the money is made elsewhere. So, my dear viewers, I am going to ask you one more time, are you ready to take that red pill just yet? How much more do you need? Is the rabbit hole that scary for you? The idea that every single bit of praise that came PlayStation's way may have been manufactured? Does that idea scare you? Well, it shouldn't, dear viewer, because we here at the BNN will be your personal trip sitters. Don't you worry, we won't allow that red pill to completely destroy your mind. So the next time you're looking for some accurate reporting, someone who's not afraid to report the news, you tune into us. And with that being said, thank you for letting us into your house tonight and joining us for an episode of Ponies Gone Wild. Tune in next week, or quite possibly in the next 24 hours, for some more drama. This has been Fratanga Burgundy, signing out. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen.